think a lot of
How
people
big
do
is the
true, but
how big is the one you have, Stefan?
180, I think.
Oof, still has a bit of growing to do, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
It's an impressive animal, I gotta say, because I quit keeping venomous snakes like 3 years ago, maybe four now. And I always said if it's gonna be like a venomous snake that gets me back, it's that species. And I said that out loud to a friend of mine. He was like, "Oh, I got one."
Yeah, they're awesome, but I don't know. I respect big venomous pit vipers.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, especially with the Mangshan, I think Flo already informed you about it. My dad used to work in Croatia in the zoo Zagreb,
Mm-hmm.
and he also worked with the Mangshans that are in the zoo. And I've seen like this the Sabados. They are the heads are the same size of my fist, and they're not even fully adult.
Yeah.
It's crazy how big they are, and yeah, I mean they are potential glass breakers. So it's I'm a bit careful when working with those.
But that's probably not a bad idea.
yeah.
Yeah, and this is actually, I never worked with gloves, but I actually am getting a pair of hex armors from a friend with
Yeah.
like feeding to hide my heat signature
Mm.
because it feels
yeah.
a bit safer.
You know that you said it, that with the heat signature, that's actually a really good point. Never really even thought about it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily because, I plan on getting bit on my hands, but even if I have the hook, it's like 1 meter distance and they strike pretty
Yeah.
far. And a while ago, I
Half-
made the mistake. I wanted to get it out because it pooed everywhere. And it was laying on a coil, and I actually took the coil with the hook where the head was and pulled the head out of the setup. And I was like, well, that is dumb because now I have to reach over this Mangshan to get the rest of his body. So I pushed it back. I was like, I will wait.
Yeah, I don't even
Yeah,
know
but
which. I don't even know which exact genus they should be. Like in the beginning, they were Zaermia, then they changed to Trimeresurus, and now they're Protobotops, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I look at them, honestly, I think Protobotrops
Yeah.
fits pretty well. They have the same movement. They live quite of the same, none of the Protobotrops are really arboreal.
Yeah,
They're
they're kind of not even semi
No,
arboreal, I
they're
think.
more like on a log pointing downwards, but it's not like it's in the first like meter. It's
Mhm.
certainly not above there. Maybe only Flavophoridis.
Yeah,
Those climb a bit more. But even the Mucros and all of those Giardonais, none of them climb as far as I can find.
not really, I think.
no.
But it's perfect because it's a big snake, so imagine it also being arboreal.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that would be
that would be
Yeah.
something. Yeah, for sure.
having to look out to not get bit in the face from above or something.
Yeah.
True. That's why we use rags.
Indeed.
No. I don't think we should open that barrel of yeah, bullshit.
Oh, damn. I know exactly where I'm going to poke in later in the conversation.
Do it. Do it.
Oh, we could. Should I do the intro?
Yeah, but this is practically the intro.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a bit, Mario. Clearly,
Yeah.
you know your stuff. So
No.
Yeah.
we have another episode. So can you tell the listeners a little bit who you are? And then we'll get
Yeah.
into the how and why and the origin story.
Okay, so hi, I'm Mario. I'm 22 years old and I live in Stuttgart in southwestern Germany. And basically, I've been in this hobby since I was born, and the origin story of how I ended up here doesn't start with me, but more or less with my dad. So he started getting interested in Croatian or like the Vipera genus of the Balkans when he was around 11 or 12 years of age. And ever since then, he just started getting more and more interested in also in all types of reptiles that he could basically find behind his house. Like he had a big stone quarry in Ogulin in Croatia where he lived. And that transgressed into him starting to get a lot of different reptile species at the age of 14, 15. And also he had his first Varanus brasinus at the age of 16, which was crazy at that
Wow.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And throughout the years, he just started to, get really even deeper into the whole European Viper thing. And he started to specialize on it. And at some point, he kept all different kinds of genus, like Macrovipera schweizeri, the red ones from Milos and Antimilos. Also, a lot of Montivipera, like he had Albizona, Radek, Bulgardagica, Kurdistanica, a lot of those species. Then we moved to Croatia in the end of 2007. I was born in Germany. And yeah, in Croatia, he then got at some point a job offer to work at the zoo in Zagreb, in the capital. And he used to be not basically the vice creator, like the second in command, so to say, of the tropical house. And especially, he used to lead the whole exhibition of the Croatian reptiles, of the Croatian snakes.
Cool.
And that was basically his main thing, taking care of those and working the whole thing out. And then also for some species, especially like for the rare species, Croatian snake species, the Vipera ursini, not Racosiensis, macrops, the Kars meadow viper, which can only be found in Croatia on 5 mountaintops. And he also started a breeding program for those. So basically, they had allowance to catch some from the wild, from the most stable population they have, and start a breeding program in the zoo. And the babies, after a certain age of 1 to 2 years, when they were stable and eating well and everything, they released them back into the wild, also to kind of keep the gene pool stable, so to say. And at some point, they started getting. My dad had a good understanding with people from other zoos in Europe, like for example Jan Donner from the Pilsen Zoo, or from Pilsen, and also Vojta from the Prague Zoo.
Yeah.
And also over those connections, they got like certain stuff like the Dracaena, the Varanus komodoensis, also the Varanus salvadori. And at some point, they also had in the zoo Varanus spenceri and Varanus griseus. They also kept in the zoo at some point, and a lot of the other different rare stuff. Like we also in Croatia. They did encourage the other herpetologists, if they find something special, like for example, a striped Natrix tessellata or a melanistic Vipera moditis, to also bring it to the zoo for scientific studies, like stuff like that. And also, that's what I helped out with a lot ever since I was 14 years of age. To go out into the field with my dad and also take samples of different reptile species, especially the vipers, because at that point, a lot of most of the populations of Vipera ursini macrops were actually unknown. So basically, my dad helped out with the discovery of 4 of the populations in Croatia, which was very nice to be able to work on stuff like that. And it's been intriguing for me ever since, because we also were to Romania to help out on that project of the Vipera ursini racosiensis conservation program. And also we did help out a bit in the one in Hungary. So to explain a bit more about it, Vipera ursini racosiensis was a viper species that was very widespread before 1960. Their range was all the way from Austria to Romania and a bit even further into Russia, but at some point they started to die out, and the last find of one in Austria was in 1960. That basically is the end of the large, not excavation. I'm thinking about too much about Crete. The large part of the dying out, like the end of that era. But now there are 2 big populations, one in Hungary, one in Romania, which are pretty stable as of now. Yeah. And
That's
then
nice.
The Ursini racosiensis, that used to be Renardi or not?
No. They are from the Ursini complex.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Then
I think the Renardi, they start in Ukraine, in the Crimea Peninsula.
Yeah, you're right. My apologies. I sometimes get those like mixed up.
Yeah.
How dare you?
And also, that was around the same time that I actually started to get interested in invertebrates. And the well, I've been interested in beetles at the beginning. That transgressed into getting interested in spiders, but for some reason I had this big fear of tarantulas. And
Okay.
at 16 years of age, I literally said, "Hey, how can you be interested in vipers and everything and work with venomous snake species and big lizards and everything?" I mean, we had a 2.5 meter Varanus domingi in my like next to my bedroom in Croatia. So yeah, and then I just decided to go into the next pet shop or ask someone from the zoo to give me a big tarantula, and I got one, and I got very interested in those. And also, since I was able to find the scorpions in my backyard in Croatia, I started to get interested in the little small scorpio species, which you probably know from Hannes already from the podcast you had with him. And that escalated very quickly, to say the least. Now I'm keeping well over 35 species, I think, and almost half of them are from the Euscorpida family of scorpions. And yeah, then in 2016 we moved back to Germany because the life in Croatia was not the best, so to say. It's a bit difficult, but yeah, now I'm here working with animals still, and also finally doing a bit more than just keeping the species, also trying to breed them, which is like with the Varanids, it started 4 years ago. But like the first time that I had a proper clutch and everything, but it was unfortunately not viable. Now, last year I had a clutch of 6 from a different male, the same female, and we only had one live hatchling there, but unfortunately it died after 3 months of age. It didn't really want to eat well, but now I hope everything will go right with the new brood. And when it comes to scorpions, well, for 2 years now I've been constantly breeding them, and it's looking good. And as of Crete now, I'm slowly starting to get into tarantulas again,
Okay.
like with this, but with some European species that I keep, which are very interesting. I love them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
nice. Man, that so many things to unpack here. First off, I think it's really interesting that like you are also like super passionate as your dad, because oftentimes it's like your father or mother has a hobby and you as a child oftentimes doesn't really enjoy it. For example, for me, it's like my dad works with motorcycles as a hobby, and it's like the same niche, like the same craziness level, but with the motorcycles that I am with the reptiles. So I think that's really nice that you were like, you can do stuff together, right? You can go
yeah.
together herping and learn from him. Um, but is he a biologist, or is he did he work like with animals like before the
Um,
curator? Or
no, he never like from his job wise, he never actually did something with animals except working in a zoo for six
yeah.
years. But it's basically out of pure interest into the animals in the hobby, and that's how he also. It's the same as for me. He started working with the scientific papers, exchanging emails and texting a lot, like being in contact with the people that actually described a certain species, and also trying to himself do the so-called citizenship science,
Mm.
citizen science, just like privately working a lot of it, also comparing stuff. And he in Croatia, he also did, as I already told, we did use to collect like the tail samples of vipers to send them into the lab so that they can basically compare it if they're like, for example, for the Vipera nocini macrops, if the you have mountain A, mountain B, is there any difference between the two populations, or like also even not on between the different populations, like on the same mountain, if there's a difference between the animals that live at around the 1,000 meters of altitude mark, or the ones that live at almost 2,000 meters, like if there are any difference in between, because you have natural barriers like um, glacial sheets and glacial fields that build over the winter, or like forests that are in between, splitting apart the basically the meadows the animals live on in.
Mm. That's really impressive. Was you like, since where you were young, were you like always, oh, I definitely want to work like in biology, because I know you started studying biology like also 1 year ago, right? One and a
Yeah,
half?
last year in October, 1 year ago actually.
Okay, yeah.
No,
Was it always like the dream, or did you
no,
wasn't it planned?
that started like my me wanting to study biology started when I around 4 or 5 years ago when I actually started also working privately in a scientific way with the animals, like for the scorpions, trying to analyze the morphology and trying to compare them. Those, and also when I started working on a research gate and other sites with the papers and everything,
Yeah,
that's how I got into it. And
man, that's really impressive. Like when I compare myself as a 15-year-old, I was I wasn't doing like crazy stuff as you did. Like it's really really insane. It's awesome.
yeah, for me, mostly it was just being in the field with my parents and working with the animals there, and also what
Yeah,
I had at home. I mean, I started off my own reptile collection with yeah, quote unquote, the boring stuff, leopard geckos.
yeah.
After that, I did get something a bit better, Lampropeltis alterna blairy. I think it's the Transpecos king snake.
Mhm.
Those were awesome. Actually, now that I think about it, it's a species that I would like to get again. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's then at some point I had a dry phase where I wasn't really interested in keeping them, and then I gave them away because unfortunately I did not take the best care of them, to be honest.
yeah.
At that point, after that, I got Tiliquas quinqueidus 1.3, and it was going well, but I never managed to breed them.
Mhm.
So I also gave those away because I didn't see any point in keeping them anymore because I really wanted to try and breed them, like have a species that is really cool, very timid, but also being able to breed. Never managed to do that, so I gave those away, and that's when I got the Varanus vacanturus because I know my dad has been working for with Varanids for as uh, since he was, yes, I mean 16. That's when he got his first Prasinus, but like he started working with Venice really a lot since his 20s, and he also kept over 25 species now. I mean,
Man,
along the Kumingi, Varanus Kumingi, we don't have them anymore. The last adult holdbacks that we had are in the Zoo Zagreb right now,
mhm.
but he's been working with that one species for over 20 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, he bred them in 6 different generations. That's
S-
a lot
Six?
of
That's
commitment. Six
yeah.
generations. That's
Yeah.
why I can comfortably say that more than 80% of the Kumingi on the European market are all from the line, from the bloodline that my dad had.
Man,
Yeah,
that's impressive. I'm actually curious, how is it going? Usually, when you're younger and wanted to have like reptiles, you have to like present your parents like, oh, I really want to have this one. Can I have this one? Was it the same in your case, or was it like for your dad, like hard to say, no, start with the, let's say, normal stuff because he is also like all excited about reptiles. I could
yeah.
imagine it's very hard for him to tell you, oh no, start like
No, it was never a problem because at the beginning I actually wanted to have leopard geckos.
okay.
Yeah,
So pretty, yeah.
and yeah, and after that I said, okay, I see that you, as far as I can remember, my dad was always keeping some kind of snake. Like in Germany, before we moved to Croatia, we had this. I don't know what it's called in English. In German, it's Gewölbekeller,
Yeah, like
like like a big cellar, basically.
Mm.
And we
as
had a
wines,
giant, yeah, like a
yes,
wine, yeah, a wine
wine cellar,
cellar.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, except it was more of a snake cellar. Yeah, and I I know that like going down there and entering the room, we had like on the left, on the right, like it's a like a long room, and everywhere just like on all sides, just a lot of terrariums, like on the floor and then on the shelves above them. I think we had at that point like 30 or 40 terrariums in there. And I
Yeah, that's
know just
great.
walking in there, and the first thing you hear is either a rattlesnake starting to rattle or like some kind of Montifera or Macropera starting to hiss really loud. And then in the back, you were like the wall opposite of the door, like in the back, we was like a library, a lot of papers that my dad printed out, a lot of books and stuff like that. Yeah, that's also a part of the hobby that I really like. The literature is Like it's a gold mine, if you ask me.
Mm. Yeah, for
Like
sure.
my dad has some books down here, which are around 40 years old now. I mean, it's like the knowledge from 4 centuries ago.
Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah, I saw some
Yeah,
pictures that Hannes sent me, like from a small part of the book selection. It's insane. It's like
this,
yeah, the hobby is stream is there basically.
yeah,
Like it's crazy.
I do wonder because you also talk a lot in like we instead of I. So when it's obviously that you were pretty much spoon-fed liking reptiles. So
yeah.
when was the point that we became like I, like we have these animals, we are working with these, or my dad has these and I help him, whatever. That probably was the thing. And when did that turn into, okay, I really want to keep these species for myself. There are certain species I'm interested in. It's going to be like my projects, and
It
or is it
started with
still a little bit like a lot together?
it's it's very intertwined because, for example, right now my parents are on vacation and I'm here at
Mm.
home taking care of everything.
Mm.
Like the animals, the especially the tree monitors and the Abronia and the Lophosaurus that we have, they are officially the animals of my dad. But I spend a lot of time with them also, so it's kind of like ours.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
understand.
But
Yeah.
my own stuff are right now the Ekis, of course. They are my own project. We initially got them 10 years ago. When almost, yeah, it's now almost 10 years ago. And we got 2.2 at that time. Um, we gave away 1.2 because the other three were very wild. They were not handleable at all, except this one, Spike, as I passionately used to call him, my favorite. And yeah, he was like straight out of the egg. We got him straight out of the egg, and he was very tame already. Like he never ran away. He never tried to bite or scratch or anything. And over the time, we got a few other ones, but some of them didn't survive the transport from the Switzerland, unfortunately. And we got them in Ham, and then at home we unpacked them, and yeah, you can think what happened. But now that's going stable, and I also have a suspect female Varanus globarensis, young one. It's also another species that we used to that my dad used to keep in the past, but they are known as being a bit more fragile.
Yeah.
Especially they are like one of those species where you really have to be careful with the humidity. If it's too much, their fingers, their toes will start to rot. If it's too dry, their fingers will fall out because of the skin getting stuck on them. But
Okay.
this one, I got it figured. I have to stop saying we.
No,
I got
sorry,
it.
you don't have to. It's just something
No,
that
no, no, no. I,
sometimes
yeah,
we can also be I, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's my own project. I got it figured out right now. So she or he, I can't really even tell the sex at this point. She's still around 20 centimeters of length, so it's not completely adult. And the genitalia, if it's a male, it will only start developing now, like getting fatter and more
Mm.
visible. And but it's looking good. All toes are still there, and it's eating like it's crazy. Like I could feed it Pinky Mouse every day. It's
Yeah.
like really good. It's growing. And then also, what other species? The Tristis are also more or less mine.
Cool.
Yeah, I love the Australian ones, like
Yeah.
especially the Deodatria genus or subgenus actually, and my favorites.
Have you ever been to Australia? No, right?
No, unfortunately not. I but I plan to do it sometime. Like after my bachelor's, that would be an idea. That would be something I would like to do.
Yeah, definitely do that. It's like worth it for real. Like I've been there like 2 months. We did like more of a traveling thing, and it was right around when the huge bushfires were happening like 5 years
Oh,
ago. So I
yeah,
basically found nothing, and I was also not like really herping, but it's really impressive like to go there. I saw a lot of like Varanus varius, and it's so funny because right around that time they were like super hyped and like crazy expensive. They're still like expensive, but not as much. And then you saw them like on a random barbecue pit, like 20 of them in the garbage can, and like it's insane. But what are you having like your animals in a separate room, or is it all together with your dad's collection, or
No, the Ekis are in my bedroom, as are all of most of the invertebrates. The Pivarensis is in the basically in that varanid room because they need a bit more heat than the Ekis. Ekis like to dig a lot, so they are also oftentimes in a cooler spots like under the substrate. And the Pivarensis don't. They live in rock slits, so they escape the heat of the day basically by going between the rocks. But it's still a lot warmer in there than under the substrate. So he or she is actually in the room with the other Varanus that we have.
nice? Have you
Maybe
ever?
cool to tell your news today because you've been
Yeah.
such a fan of
Oh,
Adatia, and I
yeah,
was almost bummed I wasn't recording. So
yeah,
you had a bit of success with them too.
yeah. But I hope you can see this pretty good.
Yeah, we'll overlay the picture if that's possible for you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, like a few minutes ago, I had three clutches in total of them now. The first one was all of the six eggs were not viable. Then last year, they looked good, but only one of them hatched in the end. We did open the eggs, and the babies basically stopped developing in the late stage. So basically,
Okay.
2 to 3 weeks before hatching.
Mhm.
And now, first one of the new clutch hatched today, or is actually hatching probably at the moment right now. And this one is for me very special because Spike, the male, he's 10 years old now, and it's the first time that I have a clutch from him. So I'm really interested in how the babies will look like because they're the cross of the three different lines that are in the European hobby right now. The rare earth, red Eki, and yellow Eki. And also I'm interested to see if the babies will actually keep or have his personality traits, like being very tame, being also not skittish at all. Like he's always present. The female, as soon as I open the doors of the terrarium, she will either start standing up on her legs, like completely rear-acting, puffing and huffing, or she will directly run into one of the burrows or something. And he lays in there. Sometimes he even, not sometimes, he mostly does so. Is it as soon as, for example, when I come back from uni in summer, as soon as I enter my room, he will shoot to the front of the terrarium and wait for me to take him out.
Cool.
It's really cool. I love
Yeah.
them. That's what one of the main things why Varanids are my favorite reptile group because of their personality. Like you just see how smart they are and how it's also nice to have a reptile that you can also build this bond with, and it goes against the the principle that reptiles are motionless, they're just killing machines and stuff like that. Utter bullshit, if I may say so.
Yeah.
They're yeah, I love them.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's such a different intelligence as well. Like what you can do with them, that's it's insane. I remember like before I got like the Varanus indicus, I did some research and I was like this guy David Durham, I think was the YouTube channel, and he has like this big Varanus dorianus, and his name was Blue, and he was like super tame, and he could even call him, and he's kept running to him, but
Uh,
he got bitten real bad by him as well.
yeah, that's the thing with that with the Indicus and Joviensis complex. You have to be really careful because they are notorious as being the two variant complexes that you, in most cases, cannot get tame at all. Like especially
Hmm.
those two complexes, like the Joviensis, Nuhalis. Oh no, Nuhalis not. This is the Salvator one. Um, Joviensis Doreanus and the other ones, like the mangrove monitors.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
very they're known as being not being able to tame them that well.
Yeah, mine was like pretty tame up to like 4 to 5 months old, and then something happened like in a day, and it was like he was super shy after that, or like super defensive. But
Yeah.
before that, he even jumped on my hand and stuff like that.
That's
But I
an
don't know what
interesting
happened.
point, which I can also mention with the Renets. There, my dad also he started to say this, like, parents are like elephants. If you do something that they don't like, they will remember it. Because I've especially noticed this with when we have a few hatchlings, like freshly hatched ones, and that's also what I don't like about the American hobby. Sorry, I have to say this now.
Shoot.
Um, if you have a reptile hatched, especially an intelligent one like a monitor lizard, and taking them out of the incubator with your hand and putting them into like straight into the enclosure, it's not good, because the first thing they see is like a big naked ape grabbing them, taking them out against their own will, and putting them into a completely new environment. What Because we in the beginning with the with the Cordrensis macrae, Cordrensis, and Reisengeri and Beccari, my dad used to do the same one, and they never were tame, never. But at some point, he started like take the box out with the eggs, put it into a bigger plastic enclosure with like toilet paper and everything down there, so that it's sterile. Open it and let them crawl out by themselves, which it did. Then at the end, just put like lean the box onto the entrance to the enclosure, and then they let them crawl out by themselves, even if it takes half an hour. Each and every one of them, in less than a week, was going onto our hands by themselves.
That's actually
That's
crazy, yeah.
really good, because when you think about it, like grabbing them with your hand and then offering your hand to let them go onto it, they will immediately recognize that it's something that's a potential threat for them. Like, they won't have your hand and you they want to see you in a good way.
Yeah, makes totally sense.
Yeah, and the brain, especially of Varanid, registers negative experiences so much better than a few positive ones. Yeah.
Yeah, especially
I wonder now, maybe I shouldn't ask it, but I watched some, because you talked about the American hobby and their experiences. I've watched some of the NERD videos with the Varane Salvatore and how they tame them. You know those ones?
No.
Oh, no, then I won't ask, because you need
No,
to know.
enlighten me, please.
Well, the Kevin McCurley is his name, from Nerd.
Yeah.
The big breeder of reptiles. He breeds a lot of varanids.
Yeah, the
And
name says something to me.
yeah, he talks about really interesting points for sure. And I'm definitely not I don't really train a lot of animals. I like them to be, but he keeps his varanids in a very unstimulating environment. So therefore he becomes the like the interesting thing, or the thing that draws attention, and something that's almost enriching to the animal. And in that way they interact more easy with him than, for instance, putting them in a huge setup with a lot of trees and branches and bark, because then they have the chance to get away and stuff like that. And he believes that keeping them that way almost forces them to interact with him. And if he does his job right, they become, really relaxed, really fast. I always wonder if those animals, you almost force them in a situation. On the one hand, it's good to get the animals calm. I'd rather have an animal that doesn't stress when it sees me. But on the other hand, you almost deprive it of everything. So therefore, you're the only outlet.
Yeah.
Well, the key word is force them to be like that.
Yeah.
No.
And it's also like kind of sick, like to take away like natural stuff. Or I think he keeping them in like completely enclosed boxes, right? You can't also see.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, yes.
It's basically an upward facing rack,
Yeah, it's really efficient. Yeah.
right? And it's also like not big at all. Yeah, it's like for me, I think that's
It does
like
work, you know, the if you see his interaction with those animals,
yeah,
and
but
also everybody that buys them from him seem to be really enthusiastic. So it does work. So, you know, the payout is pretty huge, let's say it like that, if that's what you're looking for.
yeah, but do you
Uh,
think it works because like on the because they have like the offspring or something have like a like a damage in their brain or something?
Genetic
Like
memory.
yeah, like
Yeah, that works.
imagine
With
being like
the
in a white room all the time. Badly said, like only a bed and a white room, and some person only lets you out for like 10 minutes. Of course, this is like you're getting adjusted to that to basically have a little bit of interaction, at least for some time of the day.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's how it works, honestly. If I
Yeah,
look at the setups and yeah, so but if you maybe look it up, you know, Marco, see
yeah.
what you think of it.
yeah,
Or maybe don't
I'll
spend time on it to get frustrated.
I'll
That's
I'll
up to you.
I'll take a look into it. I mean, if it works to get them tame, I can kind of understand if it's proven that it works. Yeah, but still, you need to enrich those animals. They're
Really
like
intelligent. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
like depriving them of that of basic stuff they need, like a place where they can swim, a place they can dig, something to climb, something to just like squeeze into.
Mm,
Like if you're just keeping them in a box with toilet paper and a water dish, or like a small plastic crate under which they can hide,
yeah,
that's not the point of the hobby.
no.
Like
yeah,
keeping them sterile and just breeding them and basically even depriving them of something like of enrichment, just giving it's for them for I don't know half an hour one each day, and then throw them back into the void of nothingness they live in.
yeah.
No, that's not the point of the hobby. You should try to keep the animals as good as possible.
Yes,
Like
I have the same opinion. It's like, what's the point of then having like a reptile at home? Then you could basically, if you want like something tame, then you could also buy a dog.
Yeah,
or
Like,
a
but
cat or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Of
big,
course, the benefit of having an animal that's not stressed out by you is that if you need some to do something medical or you don't want an animal to fully stress out every time you walk in the room. But
yeah,
yeah, I agree with you that if you want like a pet, there's plenty of domesticated species.
yeah,
And but maybe there will be domesticated Varanid 10, 20
yeah.
years.
I
So
hope not.
how do you like have you ever trained a Varanid
As to
actively
me
or
or
do
for
you
me
just
or
yeah, you
for
Marco?
Mario.
Oh, sorry. So, my apologies.
It's okay. It's okay. Um, yeah, the best success that we had till now are the Eki, just the one, the very tame one. He sometimes listens to commands. Like, for example, what's this called in English? Forgot. Flicking
Like
my fingers? No.
Hmm.
sn- snipping.
Snipping. Yeah, snipping. One time, he comes to the front, especially when he's hungry. But then he always, yeah. But normally it also works. Or two times is to stay out, like to not go back into the enclosure.
Okay.
I that's really interesting because I did uh, wanted for him to mean to stay inside of the enclosure, but it somehow ended up in him not wanting to go back into the enclosure.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the Varanus Commingi, those are very trainable. Like the like the clicking thingy, they
Hmm.
it's very easy to do it, and also to for them to stay. We in summer we especially like the big males that we had and the like the one holdback, the pair of holdbacks that we gave away to the zoo in Zagreb. Especially those in summer, we used to take them out into the garden, like to bask outside and also to bathe in this. We had a small kid pool for them, full of warm water, and they were also like really trainable to like lay down with when we want them to, or to go to another spot.
Nice.
That's cool.
It's basic. It's nothing special, but still amazing that they actually can be trained and they actually are also like listen to the commands with pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah, that's true. Do you know about this guy who I don't like know if it's still online, but he tried to train a Varanus panoptes to kill muskrat,
I
Yeah, I've
know
seen
him.
that one.
I know him.
the
Yeah,
mink
I know
man.
him. The Mink Man. Yeah,
Is he
yeah. I
still doing
actually
it?
no. He gave the Panoptis away to the guy from Florida. What's he called? The one that has like the ponds and everything
Yeah,
behind
Camp
his house. Yeah,
Camp
Yeah.
Camp
Cannon.
Cannon. I think he
Oh,
gave him away to him. I'm
Okay.
okay.
not sure. Yeah,
But I just like follow it at the beginning.
yeah.
But was it successful? Like I know he did some good training with him, but
Um, it kind of worked, but still, an animal. Varanus is a Varanus. He's going to have
yeah,
his instincts, and he's going to follow those. Especially if he sees like something. I mean, monitors are very, very reactive to fast movement. Like their eyes are especially primed for that. So you can say what you can tell him, whichever command you want to. But if he sees a big juicy rat running away from him, he will chase it.
yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
But
Uh,
I found it very cool that he did that. That he tried to like I saw the comments, everybody telling him no, no, no. But I found it like very interesting how he started,
yeah,
and it was pretty cool, I have to say.
Yeah.
and the thing is, like, there's especially this one video where he like takes the Panoptis into this mice infested poultry cage, like with chickens or pigeons or something, and the monitor actually it killed each and every mice that was in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like 20 of them, and it actually worked pretty well. Like I can see that the like monitor did a better job than like a whole pack of dogs and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's impressive
That's
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, so cool. But have you ever like when the Panoptis ended up at Camp Cannon, when it's the one that he have, it's like I'm sure it's not like tame anymore, right?
no,
And a
no,
lot of people say like as soon a lot of reptiles as soon as they get like the natural sunlight, they go back into the crazy wild instinct zone. Have you
yeah,
ever kept like the Varanuts for a longer period outside, like in Croatia or something?
yeah.
And
In Croatia over the summer we had for my Akaturus these big crates, like
yeah.
2 times 2 meters, like from IKEA, and with like a mesh we cut open the lid, like the top, and put on mesh. And every time after 1 week they were very wild, like in there you couldn't take them into hand, not even the tame one like got a bit stirred up. But then as soon as you put them back into the house, into their old enclosure, they come and relax again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly, I think that a lot of people think their animals are tame, but they're just cold.
yeah,
Yeah, there's
Like
something
like
missing
their
there.
core temperature is pretty low. Maybe their skin is warm, but their core temperature is relatively low. And you will notice this especially if I haven't been to the tropics, unfortunately, yet, but I've been to like greenhouses, and there you actually feel what the heat in a tropical rainforest does and the humidity. And it's so
Mhm.
different than in most terrariums with a basking spot and some light.
Yeah, especially like the consistency as well. If you like, I
Yeah.
was when I was like in Australia, there I was like in the rainforest, and then one ray of sunlight hits you, and it's super hot.
Yeah,
And
you
then
get like warm from into the core, you know?
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
different than just
it's a complete different
yeah.
warmth than under a heat lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like also like the whole topic with all the wind and like clouds, rain,
Mhm.
pressure,
yeah,
different lights. It's insane. I actually listened to a podcast. I don't know which one it was, but someone talked about the Arcadia lights that they are sometimes almost too bright for an enclosure. And I think it's not like the case because if you compare it like to the sun, like the
yeah,
Yeah, but
Arcadia.
if you measure like lux in the rainforest, it's really different than if you measure like lux in your meadow, like an open meadow in the Croatian or Swiss mountains. there's probably more light there than in most average rainforests.
Yeah. Or
Maybe not
even
on the canopy,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
but like on the level where some of our animals are.
yeah.
But I
Or if you
I
think
get what you mean. Yeah.
if you think about a desert, especially because the bright sand will actually reflect the light back up. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be very bright and even more hot than it would be in another setting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But still, like the lamps are not like as efficient that you were like that it's like too bright. You know what I mean?
No,
If you have
no.
like some plants in it and something there's like I don't think that's like the case. Maybe if you have nothing in there, it's a little bright, but
Yeah.
I'm
That's
actually curious how also the whole lamp journey and the hobby will turn out like in 20 years or something. If we had like more crazy efficient lamps, like for example in the marine aquaristic hobby
I
or
hope
something.
so. I hope we get like panels, not just these
Yeah,
beams of light, but like these panels of light. Because you
yeah.
can see behind me, I have like the panel for the salt water,
Yeah, the
and it's
mangroves.
like a blanket of light. And then I have the Arcadia above my mangrove, and it has a nice spread, but you can see all the mangrove like doing this. So then I
Mm.
need to hang one next to it to make them go up straight, you know? So I hope we
Yeah,
Yeah,
get like blankets of light. But you can do the
yeah,
same by hanging your lights higher, of course. That also helps.
yeah, sure.
but then I think like the intensity goes down, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The measured
Mm.
amount of light per square centimeter goes down, but the spread is better. So sometimes I wonder what's better, like one hotspot or spread over the like all the tissue.
Yeah,
Mm. That's
Same with a
also this.
basking spot. You know, basking spot is nice, but you do got the plan where the whole animal is covered. And then I again wonder what's better, a
This is
little
was
bit of UV. Oh, was I stuck?
ja, you were
Yeah,
stuck.
Oh,
Was
my, Entschuldigung.
alles gut. I
But
thought I
yeah,
was
I
like,
wonder what's better also with UV. Like, it's probably better to have all the external tissue of the animal like be in contact with UV, like spread evenly, but maybe at a little bit less UV or UVI, like concentrated. But then having one single concentrated point on an animal, especially on a varanid.
yeah. You need UV for them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, but also like over the whole body because you see so many varanids like huddling between underneath one or two basking spots. There's like this animal, like 80 centimeters body, and you have two basking spots. That whole body
mm,
needs to be, I feel like that whole body needs to be like covered in light or at least infrared.
we yeah. I use this kind of. It looks like a like a upside down cup, which actually like this light that is reflected to the sides from the bulb, it actually gets shone down in like a
Yeah.
light cone, which that is a pretty good option if you don't really know how to make the light not dissipate too much.
Mm,
But to
sure.
be honest, it's good, but there's always more space up for improvement.
yeah, for sure, for sure. There's so many.
For example, for my scorpions, like the arid species, the xeric ones, I don't use it there because they just need ambient heat, but it should still be UV. Because I notice, especially the very arid ones, I haven't had a UV lamp in there for a month now. Because I was a bit afraid that when I leave for Crete and when I leave the UV lamp in there, that something might happen, like the plastic of the box is melting or something. Um, and yeah, none of them molted again. So now I changed it. Like I came back 2 weeks ago from Crete, and I changed it back to the UV. In less than 5 days, 5 of them molted. So that's also interesting that they need the UV like for their normal life,
Yeah.
for
Mm,
molting and everything.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really interesting. But I always have the feeling like everybody, like, everything that lives here on the planet, in some kind of way, always gets UV, right? Even when it's
Yeah,
like only out for like 10 seconds. That's why that's why I think like the argument to give animals no UV is like for me it doesn't make sense. Maybe if it's like a cave species or something, but at the end of the day, like you don't know, especially like reptiles. It's not that like crazy studied every single reptile and how much time it spends really inside of its burrow, or if it's even going out to bask, right?
Yeah, I mean there are the only reptile species I can think of that probably never sees the sunlight is like pipes, like
Mm.
the Mexican the what's it called in English? Like the Mexican blind lizard? No.
I will insert a picture. The Beepus is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
the snake with front limbs.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's true. But otherwise, at least I feel like that. And I feel like much better providing my animals with
Yeah.
UV.
Yeah. You do have to take into account like every creature. At least I think so. I'm looking for the Beepus, the common name, by the way. Mexican mole lizard.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah. It seems like all the organisms that come into contact with sunlight either protect themselves against it, darker skin, tougher skin, whatever. The bearded
Mm.
dragon, the skin like blocks more UV than that of a leopard gecko
Yeah.
because it is so much in the sun, or uses it because it's a incredible resource of energy and a free one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Until now, it's still free for now. You never know what's going to happen in the future.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, talking of the scorpions, how did it all like started? Because it's funny that Hannes and you are like same craziness with the Euscorpio
Yeah.
either.
I'm, I mean, for him, it started basically like just getting interested in them, also through spiders, through other arachnids.
Yeah.
And he got or Scorpio, so like the subgenus Polytrichobotrytis italicus from Basti. I don't know if you met him in Weinstadt the one time you were there with Ben. Could be.
Yeah. Which one was it? This is the
Yeah,
one with
it's not Clemens. Clemens is one of no, you probably didn't. Clemens
I
has
think
the solitudes,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
spider.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you probably didn't meet Basti, but yeah, Hannes, that's how he started with that. And for me, it was really, I could find 3 different species in my backyard. And I always kept them, but never really got interested in them. And then we moved back to Germany in 2016. And I got, like, before we went back, I went into my backyard and collected some more of them because I knew that I wouldn't be going to Croatia or any other country that has them for a longer time. Joke on me, we literally have scorpions on the border to Germany. It's also what I want to do probably next year is go to the south of Munich to the border to Austria and look for them because I've seen on iNet that there's like one finding that's basically in a valley, and the same valley goes from Austria into Germany. So I think that's a point where they might occur in Germany, which would be nice. That's the first naturally occurring population of scorpions in Germany. So yeah, hopefully I will find something.
Yeah, it would
Uh,
be pretty interesting, yeah.
yeah. But back to topic. I collected those, took them back to Germany, and started to I had a few clutches of those, and also sold my first scorpions, which was pretty cool to see that it's also like more widespread in the hobby than I thought.
Mm.
And over the time, I got just more and more species. Never tried to breed those though, like the pretty potent ones, like Androctonus, Hottentotta, or stuff like that.
Mm.
And then I met Hannes, and I saw that he also like keeps a lot of the same genuses that I keep, and that he also breeds them. And we got into contact, became really good friends. I mean, when it comes to the scorpion stuff, he's my best bud.
Mm.
Yeah. And now for 2 years, I've been breeding them, like getting a few different species which are not so common in the hobby, if even at all. I mean, I have a few scorpion species that only Hannes and I have them. Yeah.
That's wild. Is it like a
No,
widespread hobby, the Scorpio thing?
no,
Right, it's
they
pretty
are
niche.
they're very niche because a lot of people always say like the typical scorpion thing is small brown scorpions which you can find in front of your doorstep. They're pretty boring, which is so false. Like it's
Mm.
so wrong. The family of Scorpidae has at this point well over 100 species, and each species has their own microhabitat, their own food item preferences. Some are extreme island endemics. For example, Scorpius oglasae, which is found only in Italy on the island of Monte Cristo. And the island is in diameter maybe 2 kilometers long. Like it's a tiny island, and the scorpion only lives there, and is also very, very specific when it comes to they apparently only live under pine bark. You
Okay.
can't find them in stones, you can't find them in floor. They live especially only on the pine bark. Like the only time they move away from the trees are the males when they go looking for the females, or like the babies when they go away from the mother to look for new territories and for their own dens in which they will live on as soon as they find them. And yeah, basically I got the Scorpida. I started to breed those, and also I started to get over Hannes and a few other colleagues that are also I'm like from the collective Jungle Visions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also a few other colleagues, Clemens especially, he's starting to get me a bit more into the Southeast Asian tarantulas again, and
Okay.
also solifuge. That might be one of the steps that I might take. But I'm also like my specific. I think I'm trying to to specialize in a few scorpion genus, like for example Butus,
Mm-hmm.
which is a genus that is widespread. They can be found on North Africa all the way to Somalia. Then you can find a few species, one species in Cyprus, one in Israel and Egypt, and the other ones are also spread out from France all the way down to Portugal. So that's one of
Okay.
the species one of the genuses that I will try to specialize in. And also, I have a few undescribed species here at home.
Mm.
So that's probably going to need some describing sometime. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I have I had two species which were first time in the hobby. Now it's only one because unfortunately, the males of the one Butus bonito from Morocco, from southern Morocco, two males unfortunately died. The females gave stillbirths only, and then the females also died. So that chance is gone. But Butus el Mutawakili, which is a recently described one 2 years ago, I'm the only one that has them, and the female is mated. She's getting thicker and thicker by the day, and I hope that sometime in April or May next year that I will have a clutch there, maybe even more. So that would be nice. And then also, what I'm also trying to specialize in is this from Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the island of La Española in general, like the genus Heteropenus, which is
Mm.
you may know it as the Cuban blue and red scorpion.
I'm gonna
It's
Oh,
look for it.
it's a
awesome.
very pretty, it's like a very bright orange reddish with purple or blue legs. It's pretty cool looking.
I also need to look it up. I'm not good
Yeah.
with the scorpion.
You know, these podcasts are bad for me, man, because I remember we did a podcast about ant plants, and now I have a bunch of ant plants, and about a lot of people were enthusiastic about mantids, and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
true.
let's get one or two mantids.
True.
How
You
are they?
are
How
now
are
a
they?
manted. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You are now a manted keeper, man.
Honestly, you know, I've taken care of some the Hierodula species just for in the at the school I work. But yeah, I got one species, the dead leaf mantids, as the tip from Alex, because it's a
Hmm.
Bornean species also. So I felt like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to know to set up, and then this Bornean mantid somewhere in between, you know. But those I got, and the Geobroter from Yunnan, same area as some of my turtles, you know. So that was the,
Uh,
you know, that was the excuse. Honestly, they are cool, man. I understand why people are so enthusiastic about them because they are super reactive. Like if you walk along, you can see their head like like
Yeah.
yeah.
straight like to what you're doing, and
Also,
they're
the
so
eyes part.
brutal.
also the eye spot. If you look at their eyes, you will see
Yeah,
like
it's
that
amazing.
small
Yeah.
black thing, which is actually just a reflection of yourself. The
Yeah,
funny
yeah.
thing is,
Yeah, they have
Yeah,
crazy
that's so
vision
cool.
with
Also,
that.
when I show that to students, like, okay, walk over here, walk over there, like that, like what? Oh
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. But they're also so brutal, man. Like I watched them feed today, and they just grab it and start eating,
yeah.
and then the cricket is like, help, help, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna jump on your face, and it's so brutal.
Yeah,
So
they're
it's actually
cool.
quite cool. So yeah, I hope they will keep doing well. It's a fun thing to, keep yourself like stimulated and get away from all the serious, because
Yeah,
sometimes, it's
Yeah.
also serious, all the projects, and it's just fun to
yeah, that's true.
do.
You can keep them communal or not?
I keep everything separate. I'm sure there's
Okay.
maybe there's a few species you can keep communal. Alex
Yeah, but
also showed me some when we were at the Jungle Leaf shop.
Yeah.
But those were really rare, and I'm like, okay, this is fun, but I'm not gonna pay like 50 euros each, I just want a few that are fun
mm,
for me to experience it in the proper way. That's
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and yeah, I remember they're so fun. Sometimes I think about it, and sometimes I also think I'm glad that they are not like imagine like a
oh
1 meter.
man.
oh,
Yeah.
if mantids were at least dog size, we would be in trouble, I think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, or use
Yeah,
them as weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, they can take on prey that is like 2 times their size. I've seen pictures of mantises like that are like I don't know, 7 or 6 or 7 centimeters long. They're actually eating colibris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
insane.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
and lizards. Yeah.
Or even
Yeah,
like snakes or something like
yeah,
snakes.
that's
It's crazy.
yeah, mantises are interesting. They're very reactive, also pretty intelligent for insects. Yeah, the only thing that always kept me from like keeping them is that they're very short life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the unfortunate thing. But it's also interesting to see how fast they develop and like from going from from the oofig, like the foamy the foam
Yeah.
bubble, like where the females lay their eggs in, all the way to an adult stage. It's also laying another oofig.
Yeah,
It's
it's so
really interesting.
impressive when they
Yeah,
all hatch out of it.
Yeah.
That looks so alien. Like all these
yeah,
babies hanging down.
yeah,
I still remember I had them like when I just started, and for me it was like, oh my God, what's happening here? And then all the babies tangling down, and also like the foam nest itself, it's so interesting because it
Mm-hmm.
feels like you use like the foam that you are using to make backgrounds. Like it's the
yeah.
same
True, true.
structure,
Yeah,
and it's really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should get back. Also,
You see, this is fucking
yeah.
domino effect.
Yes,
yeah.
come join us on the invertebrate side, on the dark
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, to the dark side. Yeah, I feel like when you are in the invertebrate hobby, then you are just collecting
Yeah,
because it's so easy because of so many things.
I swear to God, that's how I feel going back to tarantulas right now.
Mm.
Like I stopped keeping them 5 years ago when I like started really going into scorpions. I said tarantulas, never again.
Mm.
Hmm.
Now I have 3 species, all from Europe, here at home, and next on the 12th of October, it's going to be probably 2 or 3 species more, but this time a bit more from the Southeast Asian side. Like 2 of them are, I think, either from Thailand or Vietnam, and one is from the Philippines.
Mm.
And
Cool.
that's going to be interesting. Yeah.
So what's the Thai species? No. Thai species. Yeah.
They're
Don't
also
tell
pretty.
them.
They're also very interesting. Look like the Orphanicus philippinus from the Philippines. It's a small species, but it's like bright orange, completely orange.
Okay. Is it like
Yeah.
a tarantula or true
Yeah,
spider species?
no, it's a Migolem. I see. You remember that from Hannes, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I learned some.
Yeah,
I try to remember. That's why we do this
yeah,
podcast.
yeah. It's a tarantula. It's a
Okay.
tarantula, so a Megalomorph, like primitive spider, so to say.
Cool.
Yeah,
Interesting. And you also want to get like the Solifugen from
yeah,
Clemens?
yeah.
Man,
But I will have to change my whole setup in my room before that,
Mm,
because especially now that I'm having more Eckies,
yeah.
if all of them hatch well, I'll need a whole new tank for them, and I'll probably I'll have to overwinter them too. So while all of the Eckies are hibernating, I'm going to completely disassemble the holding tanks I have right now and build something new for them over the winter, like something
Mm,
bigger with a lot more substrate depth being accessible to them. And also, I want to, because I've seen that the backgrounds they use are like also use the expanding foam and then just put cement on it and like and texture it with the brush and everything. But Eckies are Eckies; they dig like a lot, and I've seen that they actually started to burrow into the
mm,
expanding foam into the background.
Mm.
So I already fixed it one time like 2 years ago, but they found the exact same spots to dig into again. So yeah, I want to change it a bit and also just give them a bit something bit bigger and more natural, because over time I see that it's starting to deteriorate. So they're due to for an upgrade. And when I get remove those tanks, I'll get like these the Kallax shelves from IKEA. You know
mm.
Mm.
those. I'll get like 2 or 3 big ones of those, and just where the terrariums for the Eckies are, put those there and build a whole new setup with heating cables and heating mats and everything for my scorpions, because I really would like to go a bit more into the arid species.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. It's a nice plan. Also, what size are you keeping the Eckies at the moment?
The tank is 2 meters, like length 2 meters, width is 60 centimeters, and height is 80 centimeters.
Nice.
Nice.
For a pair, it's very big, but they use all of the space. And one of the main things for them is actually the depth of the substrate, because they really burrow and create real tunnels.
Yeah,
So
that's cool, man.
for them, you should go more into the depth of the terrarium rather than height.
Mm, damn.
Yeah.
What size you wanna give them next upgrade?
Um, Depth, half a meter maybe.
Okay,
So
nice.
now they have 30 centimeters, and from changing the substrate, I've seen that they dig like one corner of the thing, like it's 30 times 30 times 40 centimeters was just a chamber of nothing. Like it was a tunnel leading straight to one of the corners, and the was basically like an empty space under the substrate the size of a football.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's impressive.
But I do wonder if you see that like an animal as such in a 2 meter terrarium and you see it use all the space and
Yeah.
Varanids will destroy everything. So you really got to build it bulletproof.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
that's
then you have those huge Varanids, you know? That's I can imagine it can be such a challenge to keep them properly. You really got to be committed to if you want to
yeah.
do it right.
The thing that for the tree monitors, what my dad uses Styrodur, which is like this sturdier, more of a better isolator than styropor.
Okay.
And he built the tanks out of those, like out of the Styrodur plates.
Okay.
It's good
Mm,
because even in winter the temperatures like are constantly between 30 and 40 degrees, so they never lose the temperature, and you never have to heat it like a bit more. The
Hmm.
heating is always constant. The unfortunate thing is that the Varanus becari, they are, especially those, for some reason, they are more intelligent than the other tree monitors. Like they're very inquisitive, and they like my dad also the walls from the Styrodur tanks. He painted them with the cement, and it's good because they use their claws on it, so that they are not extremely sharp. But at some point, they started chipping away at the cement and created a small hole. And then all 3 of them in the tank noticed that there's a hole, then and started digging through it. And at some point, we just had a big hole in the Styrodur, and all 3 of them walking around through the terrarium room.
damn.
Like
Yeah,
Velociraptor.
yeah,
Yeah, for real. For real.
yeah.
But yeah, it's also a nice material to use. But Is it like is it only built out of that?
Yeah,
The Shodo? Okay,
yeah.
impressive, yeah. It's also
It
then
hold
super lightweight.
yeah, it's good for the heating because the temperature is constant. Like the warmth inside of there stays at a constant temperature. Only at night it sinks to like 25 degrees, but that's still in a very good range. And no cold can get in. We can overwinter, we can open up the windows so that the cold air goes in and the temperature inside of the tanks doesn't change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great
Yeah.
idea. It actually made me think about, you know, those sandwich panels that are used to build like sheds and
Yeah,
roofs, you know, that's almost
Yeah.
like I think the styrodur with like an aluminium cover on it. So
Yeah, I
that
think so.
yeah.
Yeah, I only know it's like that I think Jonas built something for his geckos, but I never actually thought to build like a big enclosure out of it. Is it also like uh how big are the enclosures like for them? Is it also
off the top of
staple?
no, we have different sizes. Like we have
Oh, okay.
2 meters times 2 meters times 2 meters. Then those are on the floor next to each other. We have on the drawing room two on the left side. On the big, we have a big tank, like a big wooden tank that is actually like we split it into two. One is for the like a holding tank for the Varanus acanthurus when I have to separate them. The other one is for the sorry for the Smaug mozambicus.
Mm.
And then on top of those, we have two tanks, one for the Varanus rhodensis, one for the Varanus becari. Like both of them are 2 times 2 times 2 meters. And then on the right hand side, we have like a big crate, not a crate, it's like a big shelf made out of wood, which my dad's
Mm.
built himself. And 2 times 2 meters times 2 meters, two of those on the floor under the shelf. And then on top of them, we have six holding tanks for the babies of the
Mm.
tree monitors and everything. And next to that, we have two, it's 40 centimeters times 1 meter times 1 meter. And those are for the Abronia. And all one is for the Lophosaurus. Because for those pieces, they need more height and width or depth.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, how are the Lophosaurus doing?
Two of them died.
Oh, damn.
But I mean, that's the only those were a bit weak from the beginning.
Ah, true, you
And
told me last time. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, two of them are really growing. Like one of them is a definite male. He's getting the crest already.
Mm.
The other one is probably female, and the last one is lagging a bit behind the others, but it's still eating. The problem with that one is he's very picky
Mm.
when it comes to food. He only wants to eat small, medium-sized locusts and the zophoba.
Mm.
The other ones are taking pinky mice and frozen fod and everything. But the other one, the third one, he doesn't want to eat anything but the zophobas and smaller locusts.
So you have the Abronia in the same room as all those like arid and quite warm temperature species?
In winter, yes,
Ah, yeah.
because the windows are open, so for them it's good. They don't have
Yeah.
any extra heating. They like it cold.
Yeah, yeah.
There are these black crates with like they're almost completely made out of a mesh.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
We keep them over summer and everything. We keep them on our balcony or like on our terrace in the garden.
That makes sense.
No,
Okay, I was already like, wow, because I imagine this warm room full of
Mm.
piranhas and
no,
whatever,
no, no.
and then
In winter,
yeah.
and then we because that tank for that it was built extra for them. It also has a lot of mesh on the sides, so that there's a
Mm.
good ventilation and the temperature is a bit cooler.
That's cool.
We also probably going to change it to the same setup like with the mesh for the Lophosaurus because they don't like the warmer temperatures.
Mm.
Okay.
They're always seen not really on the branches, but like close to the substrate level, especially in the corners where like the moisture in this because for them we don't really use substrate. We just put on a lot of stagnant moss.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
huddle in there, and some of them, like the two big ones, they sometimes even dig into it. And since then, we actually started opening the lids, not the lid, but the doors, like 4 centimeter.
Yeah.
so that just the circulation is better. Now, when my dad comes back from a vacation, he's going to put on two mesh thingies on the sides.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you notice a difference in behavior that they're more like up in the setup?
Yeah, they're almost completely at the top. So
Okay. Wow.
might need a 1.5 meter enclosure for them, like from the tall, being tall.
They're really impressive lizards, especially as
Yeah, they're
adults.
crazy looking.
Uh, the crazy thing about is when they're getting a bit mad. Like they have these very bright orange yellow mouths,
Okay.
Yeah.
and especially also on the lower, like they have vampire, like literal fangs,
Ah,
like
yeah.
vampire teeth. They have like really,
Yeah, yeah. Same like with the hump nose lizard from Sri
yeah,
Lanka.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Ceratophora
Yeah.
also has it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Flo, you already told me that you are thinking about getting those, maybe.
Yeah, but at the yeah, true. But that's
But
what I thought when I lived in Stuttgart.
Yeah,
Now now it's even a struggle if I can keep the Enialuides.
really.
Yeah, because I don't have space.
Ah,
you
Yeah.
have space, but you don't have the space for the gigantic setup you want to keep them in.
Yeah, and but should we really go into this? Even the last podcast? No, but actually, I don't have even space for like I have a space, but for a smaller enclosure. But I don't know if it's like enough for two animals. I don't have space for like two enclosures.
What's
Definitely not.
small?
Like maybe
What's
like
small to you?
80, 60 by 130, 40.
Dude, if you sell them, nobody's gonna give them such a setup.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I don't want to
But
sell them, right?
I get it. I get it. It's a downgrade for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We talked about it last. Yeah. Mm.
I
There's
actually
like,
wanted to give Flo a pair of Ceratophora, but it didn't want them, so sold them.
yeah, okay, I didn't have the money. But yeah, Terratopho I don't know why, but also the all of the Sri Lankan agamets, man, I don't know what is about them, but they are just for me they are crazy. The Cofotes, the
yeah. I just
Ceratophora.
wanted to say it. Cofortis, that's one of the species that I would actually really like to get.
Oh man, to be honest, since I'm here in Denmark and we have this balcony,
But
damn.
you still
We
got
have,
like 8 of the 12 months, you gotta keep them, or 6 of the 12 months, you gotta keep them indoor, right?
The evenness creeps on my shoulder, like, hey, dude. No, yeah, for sure. No, but the Lophosaurus are insane, but they are also like very, very big.
yeah,
And
they
I would,
get to around the size of a Personi.
yeah, yeah, they're huge. And also, like, uh, that's like the red face. Is it like a subspecies of the,
No, no, it's just a phenotype, but it's also from special locality, I think, like
right?
from the other side of the mountain, basically.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't really like them.
Well,
I think
they're
they look.
good.
Do you like them?
Yeah,
Uh, I
they're
don't
cool,
know.
but it's like for an unsexed one, it's immediately 500 euro more. So
Yeah, it's
not
crazy.
really the worth it, to be honest.
But there were a lot of available, like
Yeah,
Lophosaurus in general, right?
yeah.
Over the last few.
I wouldn't say over the last few, but in the last 2 years, I've seen them often enough. That's also how my
Yeah.
dad got interested in getting them. Um, Especially now, like this time in Ham, what was it, like two weeks ago? And I didn't see any, but Ham in March. In March
Mm.
this year, I saw a lot of them. That's also when we got our six.
Yeah, yeah.
Six, no,
That
five.
like right before Ham in March, like and Terroristic.com, a lot of offers from
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
Also a
there's
few of the
more
redheads.
imports from Indonesia coming over again.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, they ship via Indo.
Makes sense. Yeah, for sure. Impressive, impressive animals. But like you and your dad, I don't know if you told me that or Ben that you only travel or you and your dad, no, your dad only travels to location where like Vipera also occurs, right?
Yeah, because when it comes to herping, that's his like Viperidae. It's like his main thing. That's reptiles in general, cool, but everything besides like snakes, especially vipers, is
Mhm.
just bycatch.
Okay. That's
Although there are like species of like I don't know some special subspecies of a natrix or like special lizards and stuff that he hasn't seen already, like which are lifers. He also wants to see those. For example, now they're on Cyprus. His main goal is, of course, Macrovipera Bettina obtusa. But
Mhm.
there is also the rarest species of snake is from Cyprus. Like the rarest European species is the Natrix cypriaca, the Cyprus grass snake, which can
Mhm.
only be found in one lake. And also there's like the Cyprus whip snake, Hierophis cyprianus. And there's also like like a species of kukri snake that lives on Cyprus.
Okay.
Rinco calamos melanocephalus, I think is the name. What else is there? Which is interesting. Hierophis numifer, not here, Hemorrhois numifer, the coin mark snake. And I have to think about what else is there interesting in Cyprus. Um, Zerotyphlops syriacus, the Eurasian blind snake, but we've already seen those in Cyprus. I'm missing one. Missing one species. A subspecies of the Eastern Malpolon.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but with such a what I can see from your Instagram, you had like a lot of herping trips and experiences. Did you like learn a lot also like about keeping animals? Like, is there always, oh man, there's something new every time that you're going out or
Um, for the species that I keep, then it's only for the invertebrates, but for the monitors, not really, because
Mm,
the conditions the Akis and the Pilbarensis live in is something completely different than the species we can find in Europe. The only
yeah.
thing that's comparable would maybe be if, yeah, no, also not really. I mean, I was on Fuerteventura this year in February. There are no Varanus griseus there, but like from what I know from how they were kept in the zoo in Zagreb, there's a few things that I would change because Fuerteventura is basically the same habitat, the same altitude, longitude, and everything as Morocco. So if I
Mhm.
remember how it looks in Fuerteventura, it's basically the same as in Morocco. And when I compare that to how they were kept in the zoo, there's a lot of stuff that would have changed.
Mm.
Yeah.
But for the
Like,
species that we keep at home, we don't have any snakes anymore. We don't have vipers. But now that I've been like Vipera kazlakovi, we used to keep those in Croatia. And yeah, I've been to Georgia. I've found them. So there's a lot of stuff that I would change.
Yeah.
yeah, that whole Peleus complex is amazing.
Ah, they're beautiful.
Oh man.
Why you
I
don't
can't.
keep them anymore? Is there a reason that you don't have any snakes?
Interest just went away. Like it's for private keeping. They're cool, but it's still like they need a lot of time, like a long time for everything.
Mm.
Yeah. And also, like the whole conservation thing we have going on, it's more or less enough for my dad to just see them in the wild and like you to try to find them. Also
Yeah.
to see like the natural behaviors, because that's also a thing. They don't really behave naturally in the enclosures.
Yeah, that's true.
It-
Is it like also like one of the reasons why you gave them away? Because like you see them every time in nature, you feel like you can't really give them what they need.
yeah, yeah, that's also true. Because you have, if you really would like to keep them, then you have to have a natural setup outside in your garden or somewhere, like a big grove, a big ditch full with plants, rocks, and everything. That, of course,
Mm.
doesn't allow them to escape, which would be
Yeah.
not so good in Germany, I think. um, where they get normal UV. Like everything has to be natural. Like you also need to have the natural cycle of like grass growing and dying, and then you have it like this big ball of grass just lying in there, which then decomposes in winter, and they hide in it so that they get the ambient temperature and heat themselves up by doing that, or like mouse holes in which they go over winter. Like that, you have to have a natural hibernaculum, and that you cannot reenact that in an enclosure. Like you can't have a mouse hole that spirals down to 1 or 2 meters deep into the ground. It's impossible to keep them naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That doesn't mean you're not able to keep them, but yeah, if you see that in the wild, you have to think of other creative ways to give that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they are not impossible to. They're not impossible to keep, or yeah, they are possible to keep. But from what I've seen of people in Europe, like keeping them, it's not. They're pretty difficult.
Yeah. A lot of people
Yeah,
also kept them way too humid,
yeah.
or at
I mean,
least not ventilated enough. You know, that's yeah.
that's the thing. They're also very sensitive for stuff like that to get fungus under cloaca and in the mouth
Yeah.
and infections. But
Yeah.
also, um, some species have extremely specific diets. For example, the whole Ursini complex, in nature, they mostly eat crickets and grasshoppers.
Yeah.
And in captivity, you feed them with like, I don't know, with mice, which they in nature they eat it, but it's if they have to choose between a lizard, a mouse, or some kind of insect, they will always choose the insect.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people unfortunately don't get. Most people say, okay, yeah, as soon as they start eating pinkies, I'm only going to start to feed them with pinkies too, so that they grow faster and grow bigger and everything, which is not good. Like if the animal grows too big, it sooner or later will start to if it starts to grow too fast, it will get deformities, like a crooked tail or like those, especially what you see with ball pythons, that they sometimes get these lumps along their spine.
Okay.
Also with especially with the Pelias genus, all babies for the first 1 or 2 months they eat nothing else but grasshoppers.
Yeah. And a
That's
lot.
the thing. A lot, like two
Yeah.
or three every day. That's the thing. A lot of people don't get that because they are all born in a period of time where the grasshoppers start becoming adults and mating and everything, and they're big and juicy, and it's the primary food source for a lot of the Pelias species, and especially for the juveniles, it's in the first 2 months of their lives. It's the only food source they have, the only food source they use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who breeds some of the Peleos vipers, he also nowadays only feeds the young insects, and only a few that he will sell. He will also learn to feed on pinkies. You know,
Yeah,
there's a little bit more, but in general, all of them he now feeds with the insects. And he says, especially with the Kasnakovi, that their black is like way better than it
yeah.
used to be with the fatty mouse. So that was, yeah, it was quite interesting.
Yeah, for sure. With a lot of snake species, right? There's like only get fed like mice and rats
Mm,
uh, in captivity.
Yeah.
yeah,
So many more that you could feed, right? That's what I also always think about it, this whole food thing in captivity. It's like so limited, right? When you compare it
yeah,
like with the insect diversity in nature or in general, all of
yeah.
the prey items that potential prey items. Also like with the moths and the butterflies, like I bet you so many agames are eating like butterflies and caterpillars and stuff, like mainly because like super easy for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, the Abronia, we Right now, my dad is keeping a Brownia aurita. Before that, he kept a Brownia litorhila and a Brownia graminea. And both of those species never wanted to eat crickets, locusts, and stuff like that. At some point, my dad started getting silk moths, like larvae, the caterpillars, and let them grow up, and they all went for the moths.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're doing it right now, and I mean the aurita, they eat everything, but they have a preference for moths. Especially, that's a good thing. If they don't want to take one prey item, you will always have if you have a few other prey item species, like for example, you have two different types of crickets, locusts, small roaches, something. They don't eat one of the things. You can always try to offer them another thing, and they most likely will also take it because from individual to individual, they might just prefer one thing more than the other, or they like this day I want to eat a cricket, the next day I want to eat a silk moth, in 1 week I want to eat something different. It's also very from individual to individual. It can vary a lot.
Yeah, but I remember when I started to like get into the hobby, you had all these magazines, and in that time, one of the ways that was always described to get prey items was to go with like this butterfly net and just go to your local meadow, do a few sweeps, take out the bees and the wasps, and that's what you fed. But
I
now,
mean,
convenience. I do the same. It's convenient to feed pellets
Yeah.
and feed crickets and whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
when I
true.
breed a bunch of mantids, I can feed those.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually it would make sense, to be honest, or at least that's what I'm doing with my scorpions. If I have some dead specimens that I don't need like for my private research, or like that I don't need to put in alcohol or freeze them or something. I have a centipede here that will eat literally anything. I have the tarantulas. I have big scorpions, especially because scorpions like to eat other scorpions. Nothing goes to waste.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's also enriching, right? Where I remember
Yeah.
when I had, for example, the Varanus indicus, I fed him like a lot of different prey items. For example, like in Ham I bought like these big Halloween crabs. I don't know the
Yeah.
scientific name of them, like a very big crab. And one of them molded like the wrong way, was like all squishy. And I
Yeah.
gave it to him and
Oh, they love that.
I loved it. That was crazy. And also like how they approach like different prey
Yeah.
items. Not even like only monitors. Every like lizard that I kept, like
Yeah.
also the Yaluides or the Rotophanes, it's really interesting how they like, yeah,
They change the behavior according to the prey item they are presented with. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I would say it's not even far-fetched to say that they have a different hunting technique or tactic for each species, for like for example for fish, for a crab or a bird or something like.
Mm.
Especially what comes into mind is like Varanus matensi, one of my favorite monitor species. Like they feed on, I mean, semi-aquatic. They feed on animals from two different types of habitats. It's also very interesting to see how they hunt fish, much differently than hunting crabs or like
Mm.
how the Australians call them yabbies, like the
Mm.
crayfish.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
also
that's
feeding
true.
on baby crocodiles and like on baby crocodilos, Johnsonian and stuff like that. That's really
Yeah,
crazy.
or rating nests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see this. Sure. I'm
Oh, you
stuck.
want to go? No, you're good. You're
You're
good.
good.
Do I have connection issues?
No?
No, you're absolutely fine on my screen.
Okay.
I'm the one.
Thought for
I'm
a
the one
second.
lagging the most.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought for a second I was gone. Okay, sorry. Never mind. Yeah, but what's also what I wanted to talk about is like your sea turtle project that you been on this summer
Yeah. That's
uni vacation.
yeah. It's not a unification.
No?
No, no, no. So Archelon, the organization, it's existed for 41 years now. It started in 1983 on Zakynthos in Greece. Basically, the original founders, which was a pair of biologists, they were camping on one of the beaches in the south, and they were just like sitting at the campfire, and something basically scared them because they heard something really loud and like the sound of sand being dug up, and they went around with a head torch and saw a big female loggerhead laying the eggs, like creating the nest and laying the eggs in it. And over time, they started like organizing the people, organizing the locals, and that quickly turned into a project that's like into seven different projects at this point, which are spread out all over all over the Greek sea space. Basically, you have one on Zakynthos, two on the Peloponnese. You have the rescue center in Athens. Three different projects in Crete, especially the one in Rethymno, where I was this year and last year. And then you also have the one in Ambrakikos, which is on the mainland, but in Epirus, basically on the on the western coast. Also the best project, if you ask me, because you go out into the bay with a boat, and basically jump into the water to catch the sea turtles, and put like a GPS tag on them to track where they go, where they mate, where they sleep, and stuff like that. It's really interesting. And ever since I moved back to Germany, I've been going to Greece and to Cyprus on holidays a few times. And I remember the first time on the Peloponnese was in 2021, and I went to this beach called Voidokilia. It's really beautiful. Like it's an old crater of a volcano, I think. It looks like a complete, almost fully complete circle. And I saw that there was like these sticks and mesh and everything poking out of the sand. And I went up to it and I saw that like there's this big metal plate next to it saying, "Okay, here's a loggerhead sea turtle nest. Please be careful when walking around and don't cause too much vibrations in the sand." And I saw also there's like this link www.archelon.com .greek or something. And basically that's how I realized, okay, there's some kind of conservation work being enacted here. I informed myself about it and decided, okay, after I do my Abitur, my high school finals, I will have a bit of time before I start studying biology. I'll try it out, and I've been there for 7 weeks last year. It was just amazing. Like the working on one of the one of the more rare reptile species on the whole planet, and one of the rarest ones in Europe, which like I see a sea turtle. So when you think about it, it's like crazy to think that you have something like that basically in front of your doorstep. Normally, you think about it when you think about sea turtles, you would say, okay, Australia or the Caribbean or something. And then, yeah, also Cyprus. The first time I was there was in 2020, and immediately on my first day, I walked from my apartment to the beach, went for a swim, snorkeling, and I immediately saw like this 1.5 meter long green sea turtle swimming right in front of me. Yeah,
Great.
can you hear me?
So impressive, right?
Yeah,
Man.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
all good on your side.
yeah. There's also the project, like the work that the volunteers and everyone is doing, it's actually having positive results because last year we had around 172 nests. This year we had more than 320. So that shows that the work that, like the project, the work that they are doing, it's actually helping the population stay stable and also to rise in numbers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you calculate it up, the average number of eggs per nest is around 100. Normally it's around 70 in most cases, but it can go up to over 160. And also so when you calculate 100 times the average hatch rate is half of it hatches successfully, goes to sea. When you calculate everything times 320, you get to around 20,000 hatchlings that made it to sea. Yeah,
Wow.
that's out of those 20,000, unfortunately, only 20 maybe survive. One of 1,000 survives the first year, and then they need 20 to 25 years to reach adulthood. So, but still, the numbers are rising, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
The major problem that we have is, of course, human activities, especially in Crete on Refimno. The main problem is that the hotels, a lot of eggs are laid on the beaches in front of the hotels, and the hotels, the sunbeds and everything that they put up, it messes with the nests. Also, that they remove the sea kelp and algae and everything that is washed up on the shore. When they remove it, basically the waves sweep away all of the sand. The beaches get smaller, and sometimes even the nests themselves are like uncovered by by the waves and swept away. And also the sunbeds from the hotels, they are objects on the beach which disturb the turtles, the mother turtles, when they go into the beach to lay the nest. Or if they have something blocking them, they will turn around and go back to the sea. If that happens 3 or 4 times, at some point they will start laying the eggs in the sea, and unfortunately, and obviously, they can't incubate there.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Is it
It's
also
great.
very active waters when it comes to transport, like big
What?
ships? And is it
Oh,
also along very active waters when it comes to big ships, like transport and logistics?
um, big ships, no, but we have jet skis and stuff like that
Yeah,
driving
okay.
around pretty close to the coast. Like they are supposed to keep their distance of at least 100 meters, but
Yeah.
they don't care. They don't care, unfortunately.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually like super crazy when you think about like the whole development of like a sea turtle, like takes years, and then there's like a naked ape coming around, and for the last, don't know, 100 or 50 years, we fuck up everything.
Yeah.
It's like totally insane. And it's even
Yeah.
like also insane that like a species like this, like, is around for so freaking long. Like with that mortality rate,
What
it's
do you mean?
so
It's only like 2000 years.
yeah, what is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
And then and
Sorry.
then and then humans came, and the number split into one third of what it was before that. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
unfortunate.
crazy. Yeah, but is it like you have to sign up for it, or can everybody basically join, or
Everybody can apply. Everybody can apply as long as you speak English, of
Mhm.
course. And if you really also have the energy and want to do it.
Mhm. And it's like, is it always like you've been there 6 weeks or something, right? Or am
Last
I
year I was there for almost 6 weeks. This year for 4.5 weeks.
okay? So you
The
can
minimum
basically decide.
the minimum that you can do is 3 weeks for non-Greek speakers. The maximum you could do is a whole season, so that's 5.5, 6 months.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Starting in so basically nesting is the season starts in end of April, start of May, and ends around October. So
Okay.
basically, the nesting season is when it starts with a nesting season, which goes from around April, May till the beginning of August. So I arrived on Crete this year right after, basically at the end of the nesting season, and then the hatching season starts immediately after that, and goes till the beginning of October. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. And is it like, do you have to pay for your own stuff, or do you apply for it and then you sleep with other people's like in a
No, no, no. So it's the Archelon. It's an NGO. It's a non-governmental organization. So
okay.
we don't have profit from anything. The whole projects are basically financed by us volunteers, paying the fee to participate in it,
Mm,
and also from donations.
okay.
Yeah, the work is split up in two parts. We have the field work, which is being on the, for example, for Refino, you have the whole almost 13 kilometers of beach that are basically split in three sectors, like the AC beach, ABC,
Mm,
DEF, GK. And for every morning, three teams go to one of those sectors and walk along it just to see what is happening to the nests, if any of them hatched, were any of them vandalized, what conservation threats happened, like, for example, people being on the beach at night, or like animal tracks, people driving with quads on the beach, stuff like that. Also, light pollution, which is a very big problem, because the nests, after they are laid, they need incubate for around 40 days. So basically, the babies, the hatchlings start emerging around 43 to almost 60 days. In that time range, they start hatching. And if everything goes well, they will go straight to sea. Is everything all right, Flo?
Yeah. Do you hear the cat? Or is it?
No.
No.
Junge, nein, nein, nein. Sorry,
That's okay. Uh,
fucked up.
Normally, the hatchlings would follow the natural reflection of the moonlight from the sea surface, but we have a lot of hotels, we have a lot of beach bars that don't shut off the lights, and they are all strewn along the beach. Basically, the babies, if they see the lights from the beach bars and everything at night, they will go to the back of the beach, be eaten by cats, by stray dogs, or taken by tourists. We had a lot of cases like that this year and last year, or like just going onto the roads and getting drawn over. Yeah, but the main preventive measure we take is the so-called shading. So we have these beach mats, which we upgrade by sticking bamboo sticks through them, just so that it's like a barrier. We put those around the nests and also make a pathway to sea, so that the babies, when they hatch, that basically the bamboo mats, they prevent the hatchlings from seeing the light pollution of the beach bars and hotels, and only that you see the light of the moon above the sea, so that they go in the right direction.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's great effort also.
sounds really cool.
And there's also, of course, the PA, public awareness, where we just go. We have a kiosk in the Old Town Referendum where we inform people and they can get donations, stuff like that. Or like to the hotels where we also hold presentations about the sea turtles, about the project, the work that we're doing. There's also this thing called the beach walks, but we also basically walk a sector of the beach in the morning with civilians, and so that they basically see what we are doing straight in the place. And we also do public excavations.
Okay.
So we also excavate the nests 10 days after the first hatch. And so basically 10 days of hatching. And then on the 11th day, we excavate the nest just to see what is inside, how many eggs in total, how many are hatched, how many are unhatched. The unhatched ones we open and see what's inside. Could be dead embryos, could be bacteria, could just be some kind of mutation like yolkless eggs or something, or like novice. So basically just an unfertilized egg. The good thing is we don't have live embryos, never, because the eggs that are hatched, they are always 100% either the embryos were eaten by bacteria, by parasites, or like just were not fertilized.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing to note is that another big problem is the global warming, actually, because sea turtles are in that manner the exact same as crocodiles. The temperature in the nest is what decides the sex. So everything that is above 29.5 degrees will turn out female. Everything that is under 29.5 degrees will turn male. And as global warming just rises, the temperature inside of the nest will also start to rise. And basically, we're getting more and more females and less males. And at this point, it's already seen because we had a lot of deformed dead embryos this year, and also some mutations like leucistic ones, double-headed ones, albinos, or some that even like albinos that don't even have a head. It's just like a stump of a neck. But we also had some interesting, for example, on the Peloponnese in not Kyparis, in Lakonikos Bay, we actually had like a normal hatchling that had polycephalia, so two heads, one body. It was live and made it to sea.
Wow.
That's pretty
So
crazy.
maybe in 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Imagine.
That's actually it's interesting because if I look at videos of like sea turtles, you almost always see like really grown animals. Like the babies seem to disappear almost.
Yeah. As soon as they're in the sea, they take one breath and they dive down. You don't see them anymore. They're
Yeah.
like, you would never think that like an animal that is the size of a pebble, like they're 6 centimeters long, that they can take off in the water with such speed.
Yeah. So cool.
Yes. Yeah, but it's a good sign.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good for sure.
Yeah.
I also like never saw like a mid-sized one. Like
Not
I
a
only
lot.
see like
Sorry, I'll
right?
take a small break. I'll come back.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Man, the cat. Man, the cat is Nala, Pummel, hey. At the moment they're fighting like so much.
Wait,
Man.
do you have a pair or two females or what?
No, it's a pair. But at the moment, I don't know what's happening. It's crazy. I think they're
Yeah.
they're going wild. Ah, and we're talking for almost 2 hours. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good. It's going
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's going good. Man, today
Yeah.
I'm like a little lost. I don't know why. But that's so nice because you're such an easy guest.
Thank you.
It's
I was like really like last week because I had to cancel for the one day. I was actually so mad in the end. Like
yeah.
man, I even told my parents, "Yo, I have something to do in the evening. I can't." They said,
Yeah.
"Okay." Then like 4 or 5 hours before we would have done the podcast, my mom comes to my room and says, "Yeah, we're getting the holt today. You have to help out,
I
man."
swear to God, this message, when I received it as a kid, I
Yeah,
hated it so much.
yeah,
Like you know, your whole weekend is also like gone. I don't know if
yeah.
you only need to load it down from the trailer or you need to chop it and everything.
S both. We have to take it off the trailer, and we also have to like the big one. I have to chop them.
It's so annoying.
Takes.
My dad always bought like a piece of forest, and then we basically did everything, like cutting down the trees,
Oh my God.
sawing it, like it was like a whole week of like, ah,
The
man.
only good thing about it is that if everything goes right, if everything goes well, I will have some new cool bark pieces.
Yeah. That was also my reward always. We are talking about chopping wood
Yeah,
for our
I
parents.
already felt like that was the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Sorry,
cool.
man. I drank too much cola. So at a certain point, I was like,
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, at some point we need like the cola sponsoring because
yeah. I don't want Arcadia. I want Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
yeah. But man, we we are creeping up on like 2 hours, right?
Yep.
So, Mario, is there anything else that you wanna inform us about, tell us about?
I don't know, to
Like,
be honest.
there's still a lot to say, right? Yeah,
No,
it's pretty interesting. I really like the sea turtle project. Like, that would be so cool also, like, to do something like that. To really
that,
get out and help.
yeah, well, come next year and join me.
Yeah, it would be because like I feel like sometimes I have this urge to like really do something and give something back. Like I don't know if you are I don't know what it is, but I feel like I see when I go like grocery shopping and stuff like that, I'm pretty aware what I'm buying, but I never did like really did something to prevent like prevent like global warming or helping
Yeah.
animals or stuff like that. So
I mean,
pretty crazy.
mm, Archelon is like, really, really rewarding. Like just knowing that you're helping out an endangered species. Also, one of my sea turtles are one of my favorite animals. So
Mm.
just knowing that I did something good, and that I also see like on the results the projects are bringing, that is actually helping the animals, like they're helping the species.
Yeah. It gives
Like,
you also much more
yeah,
reward, right, than breeding like an endangered species. at
Yeah,
home. I
because
believe so. Yeah.
keeping them at home is one thing, but in the nature where they actually live, like doing something that helps the species, like that actually that you're really like putting us. How do I even say this? Like,
Yeah, but
Have a positive impact.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you have the feeling of
just
really doing stuff.
yeah, that you're actually making a change.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, Flo,
Man.
you have to take this invitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, at the moment I have no choice.
I mean,
Maybe,
they're always looking for new people, for new volunteers.
yeah, but I'm not moving away. No, but for real, maybe yeah, maybe.
I mean, on Crete or in Greece, you can make a really good outside enclosure for the Yaluides.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Catching me now.
Yeah.
That's
The USP of Crete or Cyprus.
Yeah.
That's true. All right. So I think we're at the end of the episode. Well, Stefan, do you have something to say?
Always, but not
No,
in this
no.
podcast. No, man, this was a fun one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, and I like to start up. So I hope all the listeners liked it too. How
Yeah.
did you enjoy it, Mario?
I was so hyped for this, so happy that I was finally in the podcast. Like at the beginning, before we started, my heart was like really pounding because I was so hyped. Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
having me. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Also,
do-
Stefan, to finally talk to you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's really impressive to see like a 22-year-old. I don't want to sound like this old guy, but I'm a teacher. So I teach to people
Yeah,
from
it's okay.
also your age class. And it's really cool to see somebody like I was smiling when you were naming all the species names of the cypress snakes. Like I was like, yeah, this one, I love this. It made me so happy. I don't know why, but it was
Yeah.
really nice.
I mean,
Yeah.
people like me and even younger people, we are the future of the whole hobby.
Yeah,
So I think it's a nice feeling to see that it's getting into the right hands.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I
that's
personally
true.
can say from the reptile hobby, I don't really know a lot of people. The youngest person I know, like from the reptile hobby, or that someone that also has their fingers in it, is Hannes. I don't know anyone younger than him. Yeah. And for example, like for the scorpion and arthropod hobby, I know a lot of people that are like 16, 17. Okay, no, there's one guy that I know, he's 16. He also has a lot to do with the reptiles, especially vipers. He's doing a good job. But like for the scorpion stuff and everything, there's a lot of people that shouldn't be in the hobby, if you ask me. Like they're doing risky stuff like handling scorpions that if they sting you one time for 1 millisecond, you're dead. Like, nah, that's...
Yeah, this is also young people, testosterone, and we look for our limits. That's just how our brain works. The brain of every human being.
Yeah.
So especially young men.
Yeah,
that's the
young
case.
dumb
But I
man.
agree with you. I always say to everybody that, especially if they're like with scorpions or spiders or whatever, like, don't they bite or aren't they venomous? Like, dude, if you get bitten or stung, it's your own damn fault.
Oh yeah.
Look, it's the animals like this big. So unless you live in an area where they can crawl in your shoe or, in your bed, whatever, that's a different story. But as a hobbyist, if you get caught by one of those, you just got too close.
Yeah. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, that's their own fault then.
Okay. On those words, let's say goodbye to the people.
Yeah.
Bye, people. No, thank you.
Bye.